Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Fresh Start Planning Workshop for Women in Business. Whether you're starting or revitalizing or growing your business, this is going to provide you with insight that is going to really help you as you go throughout 2025. What this planning workshop is, this is not about me at all. This is 100% time for you to be the visionary CEO that you need to be in a way that works with your really big heart, but also helps you align actual action steps and a profit plan. So we really want to take you through reflection, dreaming, and putting it on paper and creating the baby action steps. Okay. This is a trusted and joyful process that is really based on the brain and neuroscience and what helps us shape high performance results. So I have been, part of workshops for like this for years, and I've been doing this one. I think this is our fourth year. And I really believe I've taken like the best of the best elements that help me reflect on what I need, but do it efficiently and be effective with it. But these are questions that we're asking you that really matter. So this isn't just fun, it's actual neuroscience that's going to really help transform the results you can get for your business. And this is just completely our gift to you. There is no pitch at the end. We are going to do a prize giveaway if you're on your live, just to really reward you for showing up for yourself. And I am going to just talk about some things we have coming up, some other free opportunities, but there is nothing that we're selling. This is just really meant to be time to encourage you. In case you do not know me, I am Shannon Tashney. I am a brand and marketing strategist and a marketing mentor, and I help big-hearted women stand out online. My goal is to really help them do this without feeling awkward or salesy or overwhelmed. We see a lot of stuff online that just is very big, and sometimes for those of us that want to be a little quieter, we need to find ways to do this that aligns with our personality. And so that's what I love to help women do. I have been in business for 20 years. I started with a little product line. I ran a photography studio for 10 years and I still do some brand photography. I ran kind of a full service creative agency in between. And then I really took my business and I felt called to focus on the strategy and the mentoring and the teaching. And so that's where I am now. And I coach women primarily inside our 8-month hybrid incubator program called the Small Business Bay. I live in Minnesota with my husband and my 3 kids. And I love things like chai tea, dark chocolate, all things blue, and giving back. My business is a give back business. There's 10,000 ways to do that. None of them are wrong, but I'm really fueled by being able to make an impact in the world. And it's really just important we all find the things that fuel us, and that's what motivates us to live out our gifts and talents and do it with boldness. So how this workshop is going to work. I'm basically going to walk you through the workbook. Okay. So if you were able to print your workbook in advance, this is actually last year's workbook, but I'm holding it here. That's fabulous. Then you can just write with pen and paper. If you were not able to print it in advance, you can pull open a Google document and type, or you can take a pen and notebook and you can just answer the questions as they come. There's no wrong way to do this, okay? Um, I'm going to give you actual quiet time. So I'm going to talk through the section. I'm going to maybe give you some like prompts, and then I'm going to give you anywhere from 20 seconds to a minute, depending on the page or the question, for you to just be quiet and answer those questions. There are some bonus sections at the end that are things that you might want to do on your own later. And also, if as we're going through it, you do not get a question answered and you want to come back to it, just put a big star by that question to remind yourself that you want to dig in deeper. There's certainly going to be questions where you have a lot to pour out and some where it just doesn't feel as applicable, and that's totally fine. And then we're just going to wrap up, like I said, with that giveaway and talk about some upcoming events. So let me go ahead and stop my share for a second, see all your lovely faces, and then I'm going to reshare our workbook. Here we go. Okay, can you guys now see this workbook that we can see? Okay, perfect. So the Big Hearted Female Entrepreneur's Purpose plus Profit Planning Workshop for 2025. And let me get it on a, where let's we go. Okay, so this is just the intro. It's a little bit of what I said. This is not a typical planning workshop. We really want to help you get real so that you can make an impact through your business and through your life. And we want to turn it into a tangible plan that is going to include baby step actions that can really help you get where you want to go. So we're going to evaluate, very importantly, things that bring you sparks of joy, because if your business does not bring you joy, you will not stick with it, okay? We're going to just try to reveal what your true values are and how you can bring more of both of those things into your business so that you can have a purposeful, profitable, joy filled business all around. And another thing to just set our perspective right as we go through this is we all know we cannot control everything, right? Like life happens, things happen, and sometimes that prevents people from making plans or goals, right? But we need to develop a perspective of having big dreams, having big impact goals, but also having resilience and perspective to be flexible, but knowing that focusing on something is what propels us forward. So we can't control all of the outside circumstances, but we can control our own intentions, we can control our own attitude. And both of those things are going to affect the way that we feel every single day in our work. And as a result, make an impact in the work you do. So that is the perspective I want you to go into this planning workshop with. Okay, here's our first page for you to get still and be quiet. We just want to do this out of a place of joy, right? Planning out of a place of pressure is no fun. And so I have created this cute little page for you just to start. My planning journey, the year, hello, my name is, today's date is, and then just go ahead and fill in. I am beautiful and valuable and smart, and share something about yourself. I'm really good at people who know me well. If I could stare at one thing in nature all day, it would be, right? That often puts us in our happy place. And then things we're grateful for, because when we start out of gratitude, we are just always in a better state of mind. So I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for this one for about maybe 40 seconds, and we'll see how far we get. You guys can just take this time for yourself. Go ahead. Okay, you guys can just finish that one up for about 10 more seconds here. Remember, if you need to go back to things, just go ahead and star that page or whatever you need to do to try and make sure that you get ones that are really important to you answered. Okay, as we move on to page 4, and again, this is just where we are really setting ourselves up with the motivation we need to build our business out in a way that matters to us. So we're going to think about our purpose and our legacy. And the questions here are really putting you in a long-term state of mind. So if I could make a huge difference in the world in any way, I would do what? I want to be remembered as, and in 10 years, I hope people will say about me. And maybe for you, you pick one of these and you really focus on it. You don't necessarily have to do it in order. And I also just really want to encourage you through this workshop. Nobody else is looking. Nobody, like if you have a secret dream of doing something that feels too big, this is your place to write it down. Like it is okay. It's okay if what you are excited about feels scary in any of these questions. So go ahead and take a few minutes on this page here. Okay, I'm going to give you guys just a few more seconds to finish this one up. I want you to have time, and I also don't want us to feel rushed at the end, right? So, okay, moving on to section C. This is just a little bit of reflection from last year. So you can write the year last year was and overall last year felt. Sometimes we seem to be like, huh, yeah, that's kind of how this whole year felt. Just summarize it. I think these are good things to look back on later in life too. And then if you want, you can take a little time with the bullet points there and just bullet point a few important things from the year, whether it was business or life and what felt good and what felt hard to summarize. And then you can go to let's celebrate what worked really well last year or brought you great joy in your life or business. So go ahead and take about a minute there. I think this is a good place to remember. I'll give you guys about like 10 more seconds here, but a good place to remember that like the past does not define us. It doesn't need to go with us. But we do sometimes just need to like acknowledge it and take a minute to process it and then say, you know, what was growth from that I'm taking with me and celebrating the things that were great, but not feeling like anything that was hard or didn't go well has to define us, right? We get to define our future and our perspective on that going forward. So the second part of this just is what didn't go well, what drained you in the past year, and how can you move on from that? And more celebrating. How did you grow personally? What did you learn? And that's kind of what I was saying is like, what can we take from this that was super valuable? And say, yeah, you know what? That maybe didn't go like I planned, but I really learned this and I'm not going to make that mistake again. And that's super valuable. So kind of just answer the first half of that section there, and we'll jump into the reflecting on the right now. Okay, if you're ready, if you need to spend a little more time on that, go ahead. And if you're ready, you can move into C2 here, the let's reflect on the right now. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how content do you feel with your personal life? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how content do you feel with where you're at in your business? Some of you might have a real strong gut instinct. Some of you might need to think about that. And then we're going to get real about the stage of life we're in. So it's really easy sometimes to say, hey, dream super big. And I want us to dream super big. But I also want us to recognize that it's okay that we are in different stages of life at times. And it's really easy to compare ourselves to somebody in a totally different stage of life and wonder why we're not doing the things they're doing or living the life we're doing. And so recognizing and just being okay with and actually just finding joy in the commitments we have, the stage our family is in, the opportunities we have, or the limitations that we have, right, is important. So go ahead and write down kind of the stage you feel like you're in there too. Just give you guys like 30 seconds for that C2 section there. Okay, so let's wrap that up. Let's be grateful for the things we learned. Let's be realistic about the stage we're in. And then we're going to really get in touch with our values now in this next section before we go into the future thinking. So, this is a good exercise to do just on a regular basis, like once a year, once every few years. So, we're going to talk about your core values and evaluate if your values are aligning with your life and work. It's really easy to feel like we're chasing other people's dreams or things that are important to other people, and we certainly can't do it all. So, when we take time to pinpoint these, we can focus on things that fill us up and make us feel fulfilled from these priorities. So, what you're going to do is you're going to basically circle anything here that you just really feel like, yeah, this is a big value in my life. This is really important to me. I really care about this. You're certainly going to have to skip things that feel like they should be important. And that's okay because all of these are valuable. They don't all have to be your top values. So go through and just circle any of them you feel a nudge in. And then you're going to go back through and you're going to kind of like underline your favorites. And if there's more than I would say six of those favorites, go back and star the ones that are the most important to you. And if you have values that you know are different than they're on this sheet, go ahead and write them in the spots below and then just follow that same those same steps. So I'm going to give you probably like 2 minutes here and we'll see where we're at just to make sure that you are doing this out of a place where you feel really good about your values. If you've never done this before, it's going to feel really, really good. Moment. For those of you that are looking at this on the screen, here, I will try to make this bigger for you. Okay, we're going to kind of move on here. If you feel like you want to come back to this one, then star it so you can go back to it. Hopefully, at this point, you've identified a few things that you're like, yeah, this is really important to me. And in fact, if you feel like sharing anything in the comments, like, hey, this really surprised me that this value is really important, or I hadn't really thought about how important this was to me, I wasn't giving it enough thought, then feel free to share things in the comments at any given time. So page 2, we're going to kind of piggyback off this, right? So we're on page 8, I should say, the second part of this. Okay, and we want to really take time now to go, do our values match up with our life and business, right? Or are we living out of what we thought were other people's values or things that felt important? So on this page, you're going to, I'll go to the next one here. For those of you that are following here, perfect. So you're going to list, this is probably a page you're going to go back to. Okay, I'm going to take you through the process with 3 of these. So if you have more than 3 core values, you can come back and do this again. So if you want to rate all of your core values down right now, go for it. So you can come back to it. But we're going to kind of go through the process with the top 3. So write that value down and then scale it on 1 to 10. How well do you feel like you are currently leaning into that or living that out in your life and business? So One would be, you know what, not great. Like, this is really important to me, but I'm not spending enough time focusing on it. Or 10, this is super important to me, and I do spend a lot of intentional time around this. So if you can get through more of them, go through it. If you can only get through three, go through three. I'm going to give you a minute here. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds. So kind of finish up what feels most important. If you need to give it a star to come back to it, you can. And we're going to go to this next page here, which is using our values to make change. So basically, what did that exercise reveal to you? For some of you, you're going to be like, you know what, spot on. I really understand what is important to me, and I'm making decisions out of that. For others of you, you're going to be like, oh, you know what, I seem to be pursuing things that don't really align with that, or maybe are wearing me down, or are things other people could be doing. So, what does this exercise reveal? And then, secondly, there, which areas do you want to work on implementing changes in the most? So just kind of go with your gut instincts. We won't spend a lot of time there. Give you 30 seconds though. Okay, can I finish that section up? I'm going to be super authentic now and just tell you I'm using the 2024 workbook just because I have the amount of time we should spend on each page written on last year's workbook, and I didn't do it on this year's workbook yet. And it's really interesting to look at my answers from last year because I tend to do these on and off with you guys, the questions that I can fit in. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, these are some things I did lean into more this year than I, because I made the intention to. So, anyways, it's really cool. Full circle moment for me and hopefully for you guys as well. So now we're going to kind of transition. Okay. So we've set a lot of foundation. We've had reflection on the past. We've talked about how we've grown. We've really gotten ourselves in a place of gratitude. We've gotten ourselves in a place of knowing what we value. So we aren't worrying about what other people think right now. This is like leaning in and listening to our heart and how we're going to make decisions to dream big out of that. Okay. So here in section E, again, this is where I just want to give you guys permission to really not worry because nobody's looking over your shoulder. Okay. So, what feelings would you like to be experiencing more in your daily life? That's question one. The second one is what sparks of joy or new perspectives, rhythms, or routines in your life would bring you more of that happy place feeling? These could be super big moments you need to happen this year, or they could be tiny little daily routines. Thirdly, what big dreams do you feel are planted in your heart, even if they feel scary? Listen close and make sure they're not other people's dreams for you and that you're not trying to copy someone else. And then, fourthly, picture where you'd like to be in 1 year. What would you like to say to friends and family next New Year's Eve? I'm so proud that this year I bravely did XYZ. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little longer for this. These are some big questions. So I'm going to give us like 2.5 to 3 minutes, but I also give you permission to answer these out of order. So if one of these questions really strikes you, like you feel compelled to answer it first, go ahead and do that first. Okay. Gonna give you quiet time now. Give you guys maybe like 30 more seconds here. And you guys can always tell me in the comments if you're feeling super rushed or if you're feeling like we're moving too slow. Um, and again, star questions you want to go back to if they feel important, and also give yourself permission to skip questions if nothing, if nothing comes to mind that you feel is impactful. Just gonna give you another few seconds to finish up and we'll move on. Okay, hopefully you guys are all now in a space of like really feeling those big dreams, right? Like you have permission to think about them. It's okay. It's exciting to think about the possibilities. So now we're going to do a quick little reflection on our personality and personal growth. Just make sure that we are now making decisions as we create the baby steps to make those big dreams come to life, right? That we're doing it in alignment with how we were made and our personality. So the questions here are some of my natural gifts and strengths are, and again, it's okay. You can be like really excited about who you are right now. You are amazing and you're not like anyone else. So list here some of your natural gifts and strengths. Feel grateful for them. And then question two is some of my natural personality weaknesses are. And it's just okay to be honest and humble here, right? Like other people fill in the gaps where you might be struggling or where you aren't great at things. And then question three is on a scale of 1 to 10, how much am I taking my personality into perspective when I choose various business or marketing directions, right? A lot of times we find that we're just trying to do things that people told us we should do, and we're feeling so much resistance. And sometimes that resistance is really good, meaning we just need to have the courage, have the discipline to do things. And other times resistance is around, this just isn't the right method for me. And there's more than one way to do business and marketing. And then lastly is who and what might I need to bring into my business to complement my strengths and weaknesses. So go ahead, I'll give you a couple minutes for these 4 questions. Okay, take just another 10 seconds and finish up where you're at there and make some notes. We're going to move on to page 12. Page 12 is now some goals with sort of a personal focus overview. And the reason we do this, because even though this is a business focused workshop, and that's where my heart is, right, is that I don't want you guys to run businesses that don't align with your personal lives, right? I want to make sure you feel like you have a sense of intention around both your personal life and your business. So you're going to just quickly, on the section G here, you're going to circle 2 to 3 of these areas in your personal life that you think you most want to focus on this year. Okay. Or if you have another category, go ahead and write another category. If you're writing and not circling, I'm going to read them for you so you can write down what they are. So the options here are relationships, friendships, family, faith, money, health, health or body care, mental and emotional wellness, fun, events, activities, fun slash events slash activities, personal character traits, gratitude slash contentment slash joy, or other. So go ahead and identify 2 to 3 of those that you want to focus on. And you know what? You might want to focus on all of them, but the truth is, you're not going to be able to focus on all of them. So it's better to have a few that we really bring, we let come to the top of the water, right? And we put some intention around those. And then once you've done that, little part B here is, what are your quick thoughts around how prioritizing changes in these areas might look, tangibly speaking? I'm guessing you've already thought about this, right? Just like naturally, the beginning of a new year makes us think about this. So just sort of bullet point, tangibly, what would it be look like if I made a change in 2 or 3 of these areas? What could that look like? You guys, just 30 seconds there. Okay, wrap up your thoughts there. And I want to note that at the end of this workbook, so even if you didn't print the whole workbook, you're going to get to the end and there's going to be some bonus sections. You might want to just print those bonus sections because I fully recognize that nobody wants to carry around a 35-page workbook and go back to it through your entire year. So what we kind of have created these like cheat sheets, these quick sheets where we are going to take everything that has come to the surface from this workshop and you're going to able to put it in a big picture summary. And so you're going to have just a couple of pages that you can like tuck in with your calendar or your notebook and remind you of the intentions that you are making for this year. Okay. So this is really pulling everything out of you, but we're going to have a place to kind of keep it really tangibly handy. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talk more about business specifically. We're on page 13, section H1, our business projects and goals. So as you fill out the section, think about all the reflection you've done so far, what's worked in the past, what you value, your personality, and your strengths, okay? And I just want you to create a brain dump of some of the potential business projects that you could work on this year. So maybe some of you have absolutely no idea what you want to work on this year, and that's what you're hoping will come to the surface. Take a little while to think about that, okay? And that might be where you need some support around. Like, I don't have enough ideas. Maybe you have too many ideas, and this is a great place to put them on paper so you can just like tangibly look at them all and you can have a place to really accurately compare and contrast what is important to you. And then after you do that, I want you to kind of think differently. So, not just projects, but actual goals. So, brain dump, hey, if I achieved this goal this year or I hit this stride, this would feel really good at the end of the year. So that second section is brain dumping some business goals that you might want to consider focusing on. And you know what? This is the reason you're brain dumping them is because you're not committing to them. So it gives you permission to really be free about what you write, to really think, hey, what if I were to think about it this way, right? And while we're kind of just on this, I'm just going to share a little bit about the psychological value of dreaming bigger than you think. Okay. So It's really easy to feel like the goal I want to hit is, well, if I just did 20% more, that would be realistic. Or if I just did twice as much more of whatever that more is, more clients, more money, more free time, right? More whatever. But sometimes what that does is it gets us stuck in a pathway where if I'm only going to do 20% more of something, I basically have the exact same path I've already had, but I just have to do it better or maybe harder or work harder. But when you give yourself permission to go, hey, what if this was 10 times bigger? And again, only if you want it to be, right? Because this is in alignment with your values. But what if I wanted something to be so much further, or that dream that I think I wanted to happen in 20 years? What if I wanted it to happen this year? And by writing those things down, what happens is it forces your brain to think in a totally different pathway, because what you're doing now or what you think you need to do is probably completely inaccurate to that solution, right? But when you write a goal or an idea that's so much bigger than what you have now, it forces your brain to have to problem solve. It creates like a new math problem for your brain and begins to think, oh, there might be a totally different path that I have not thought of to get me here. And so that's where I just want to give you permission to be like, hey, what if this was a thing I could do? What if I want to do this in 20 years, but maybe I can do this year? Is that possible? And by just writing it down, it's going to force your brain to really start thinking about it. Okay. So I know I talked over you. Hopefully you started the process here. So go ahead and do your brain dumps. And then maybe I'll just give you a little bit more for that. And then we'll talk through the secondary process, or you can read it at the bottom here about how we're going to kind of identify which ones we really want to focus on. Okay, so if you're still brain dumping, that's okay. But I'm just going to walk you through the second set of the section here, okay? So once you've gotten everything out of your system and you feel like you've listed what comes to mind, I want you to circle the ones that feel most aligned with your values, or if you're on a computer, that's okay. Find a way to highlight, right, or underline, but identify the ones that most are aligned with your values. If you're on paper, you can star the ones that feel most doable or simple, right? For your stage of life. What actually feels simple for my stage of life? Or if you're on a computer, you can give it like a 1, right? Underline the ones that have the greatest potential for success and profit. And then I have here put a smiley face or heart by the ones that just feel the most fun or exciting. So if you're on Google or you're on your computer, find a way to identify those differently for you, or maybe put them under different headlines. But we need to learn to think through our decisions from more than one perspective, right? We don't just go, hey, somebody said this was the best way to their path for success, so this is what I have to follow. We really want to evaluate our decisions, what we spend our time on through all these different areas. So go ahead and take a few, maybe like a minute to do that. Finish brain dumping if you need to. Okay. How are we feeling about that section? You guys need a little more time or you want to move on? can only see about half of you too. So if you guys like nod at me, we're good. Okay. We're going to move on. If you need to go back to that section, you guys, it's important. Don't be afraid to put a star by it and say you need to spend more time there. Okay. So now we have the brain dumped it. We have the values around it. What does this exercise reveal about what you should be working on or setting goals around for this year? So that's probably going to have come to light from the ways you highlighted or circled before. The second question here is, if you could narrow it down to one primary smaller business goal or project and one primary bigger business goal or project, what would those be? It's like if you were to have to strain to two things like that, what would it be? And again, you don't have to, but it's just a way to kind of like sift through things and see what comes to the surface. And then the third and the fourth question there are, and these are all kind of different. So again, if you need to answer these in a different order because you feel really compelled by one, that's okay. Is there anything holding me back from pursuing these goals or dreaming big? And that's where you just have to get real honest with yourself. Is it your own thinking? Are you living in doubts and fears? Are you worried what other people are going to think? Those are all very real and normal things. Is it the support you have? Is it the level of knowledge you have? What feels like it's holding you back? Is it just courage? And then that fourth one is really kind of separate, but it's an important motivator as we think about pursuing these, which is, what do I want my clients or my audience or the people I serve to say about me after working with them or being influenced by my impact on their life? So in whatever way you have an influence on people's lives, what would you like them to say about you? What would feel really good? That gives you just direction, right? So take a minute for those four questions there. Okay, this is an important one, so I don't want to rush you, but I'm just going to give you maybe like a 30-second roundup here. Okay, how are we feeling about that section? You guys need a little more time? Some of you are done, okay? Awesome. The thumbs up are helping. Thank you, ladies. You still need more time. All good? Okay, so now we're going to take this. We have some intentions. We think we maybe know what we want to surface, what we want to focus on, right? We've maybe let it rise to the surface. And again, you can let this mull over a little while after this, right? But hopefully, we've asked some good questions. And now we want to rewire your brain to make sure that they're going to happen. Okay. So, anytime we have an adventure, a goal, something that we are intending to strive towards, we tend to get hit with doubts, right? We get really excited at first. We start to maybe execute at first. And then somewhere along the line, we start getting hit with things that maybe hold us back. And so we're going to battle that by working with the power of our brain. And I'm going to see what I have noted here. So I'm just going to talk over this for a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to rate doubts or fears that immediately come up when you think about executing these business aspirations. Okay. So that's that first part. So maybe even as you wrote them out, you were feeling like this is scary, but I also feel like compelled to write this down, right? So maybe it's very clear to you what feels like it's going to hold you back. And then we're going to reframe it. Okay. Because the power of the brain is that what you tell your brain believes, okay, which is important that we tell our brain truth, but we also remind our brain what's possible, okay? Because our brain doesn't immediately comprehend what is in the future. So our brain is kind of like when you think about AI and the algorithm, it takes what already exists and it creates our thoughts out of that. So we see something scary on TV, it creates fear, right? We try something and we get a result we don't like, it creates that result. So we don't necessarily know what's possible when we haven't done it yet, and our brain doesn't want to lean into what's possible if we haven't experienced yet. But when we tell ourselves that it's possible, then our brain begins to believe it's possible, and there is scientific proof that our brain creates new physical pathways around what we think. So if you are thinking a pathway and it's a lie or it's keeping you trapped in addiction or whatever it is, right? And you begin to fight against that and you create a new thought that is the opposite of that thought, eventually there will be an actual path in your brain, a physical path that disappears, and a new physical path will grow around this new belief. And so that is just a really cool thing about how God made our brains and what's possible with it. Okay. So that's why this exercise isn't just fluff. This is why it's really, really important. So go ahead and write down the doubts or fears that immediately come up when you think about executing some of those big things. Okay, maybe just like one, two, or three of them. And then once you do that, and I'll be quiet here for you in a minute, you're going to just reframe them in the opposite way. So you're going to speak to yourself with courage, with confidence in the way that somebody else would speak to you. Okay. And you're going to create a truth. It's not going to be overly fluffy, like this will definitely happen, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be like, it is possible that I can do this, or I am capable of, or this has happened for other people. This can happen for me too. Whatever the truth is that you need to frame it as so that you can say it and it feels true to you, right? That it feels really possible for you. So go ahead and take maybe like a minute and a half for this exercise. just a little bit longer there and finish that up. You want to go back to that, star that. And really, ladies, I mean, this is an exercise you can do anytime you find yourself trapped in some sort of doubt or fear, um, or you're facing a new situation. And every time we face something new, it feels scary to us, right? So this is a really just powerful exercise. And it's good to not just think about it, but to write it down and then to put that truth on repetition for us. That's what really makes the change is the repetition. And again, this is a spot where we're going to go back to that big picture summary and we're going to be able to write these down so that you can have like the quick snapshot of this in front of you. Okay. Okay. We're going to move on to page 16. So now this is where we just start to get specific, okay, around your profit planning and evaluating. And this is something that I'm trying to remember. I'm just going to really quick go through the next couple of pages. Okay, so we do have a profit planning calculator in here. Okay, perfect. So this is something that you might do a little bit of right now and then go back to. This is also something that we have a purposeful profit training on. I think we just did them this fall. We did them actually last January too. We're getting the recordings of those and they're going to go up in the shop eventually. So if this is something you need to dive in deeper to, this is something that we have a bigger training on and a really cool spreadsheet on that goes beyond this. But this is enough to really help you just think through some plans. So have you evaluated your numbers from last year? Yes or no? Okay, so just answer that part. If not, just go ahead and put some time on your calendar to just look through things, just become familiar. A huge part of like finances is just actually like looking at it regularly because so many people want to avoid it. And so just getting familiar with it on a regular basis is super helpful. And then I think that this leads into this next level worksheet. So maybe I will. So we're going to eventually get to this page 18 here. Okay. So if you don't have it on your, if you don't have it printed, then this is a section where you're going to want to look at it, maybe print just this page out and go through this process. And also, again, it's the section we have a whole spreadsheet that can walk you through this if that's what you would prefer to do. But let's go back up here to where we were. So you're going to think about what financial benchmark you want to hit. We're going to just start real simple with just what would you like to pay yourself per month. Okay. And we're going to put that number into the calculator. There's no wrong answer. You might not even really know. You can pick a guessing number if you want. Okay. And then we're going to go through that profit planning calculator and you're going to come up with the revenue you need to bring in. And then we're going to see if you have a map or going to create a map out of that so that you have a pathway for that. Okay. And that other worksheet will help with that. And right now I want you to kind of answer this question first though. So this last one on the page here is, do my financial goals, so this is the fourth question on page 16, do my financial goals align with my values, my priorities, and the season of life I'm in? And if not, what needs to change to keep life balance, purpose, and joy while I work towards my profit goals? So go ahead and take a second on that one. And then, yeah, actually, we'll answer these other important questions too. So go ahead and take a minute on that one. Probably just 30 seconds. Okay, hopefully answer those two questions. Have I mapped out a path to get there? If you haven't, you're gonna be able to use the tools on the next page or other tool later if you want. And do my financial goals align with my values, priorities, and the season of life I'm in, okay? And we're gonna go to this next page and ask a few more questions about this. How am I ensuring and tracking profit in my business? Or how can I? Some of you probably are super on top of this. Some of you are probably at a stage where you haven't had to think about this much yet. And that's okay. And then, if and when you're ready, you can move on to those second two questions on page 17, which kind of go along with each other and I think are just important to keep us motivated. And maybe things that we often do not think about. How am I ensuring and tracking purpose or impact in my business? Right? How often do you get asked that question? Not very often, but that's really, really important. That's the legacy you're leaving, right? So, do you have ways to track the purpose and impact? And if not, how can you? Think about what that could look like for you. Maybe it's keeping the thank you card somebody wrote you or testimonials. Maybe it's every time you're able to give back, that has its own spreadsheet, right? And that goes right into the second question. Do I want to add any give back elements to my business to give me greater purpose in what I do or show my audience what I value in my brand story? And again, some of you might already have that, and some of you have probably never thought about that before. So if that's important to you, take 30 seconds there and answer those two questions. Okay, now we're going to move on. We're getting kind of the section here where some of the stuff is going to be optional for you to go back to if you need to, right? Because everybody's in different stages. And so we're actually tracking just a tiny bit ahead of schedule, which means I probably didn't give you guys enough time during certain questions. I'm sorry if you felt a little rushed. Hopefully this felt meaningful. We're going to kind of go through some tools now that you can or cannot use based on what's really important to you, okay? So that first one here is this profit and planning worksheet. And I'm just going to walk you through how it works, but you don't necessarily have to fill it out now. And again, we have something called, and I'm going to forget because the first time we did it, we called it the purposeful perfect profitability calculator. And the second time, I think we called it the maximized profitability training. Anyways, we have this training, which is very similar, but we have a spreadsheet and that's going to go in the shop eventually. So if you want a more robust version of this, that is really amazing and we'll make that available to you. But for now, this is a really simple way to just figure some things out. So this is where you're going to enter how much you pay yourself. Then you're just going to go ahead and put in any overhead, any debt, and anything you want to set aside money for. So if you're new to kind of some of this profit planning, it's really easy to forget that we want to set aside money for things in the future. So marketing, reinvesting, contractors, taxes, all that stuff. And then anything we want to give back. And you're going to add all of that up at the bottom here. And that's going to be the amount of monthly revenue that you would like to come in order to pay yourself this at the top. So this is a simple sketch of a way to do that. And so if you want to set aside time to do this yourself, then you can also answer this question. How does that feel? How does that compare to your past revenue, right? And then section B here is going to help you figure out how to get there, okay? Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I need to bring this much money in. It's another thing to go, yeah, here's how many actual clients or sales I need to get there. So a simplified way to do it is you can just put in an average that you bring in with a typical sale or client, and then you can divide that by how many clients you typically bring in, and you can get a sense of how many people you need each month. Might be a very simplified version based on your business model. You might launch big things 4 times a year, and so you need to figure this out based on, if I do this only 4 times 3 months, how much revenue is that? You might have seasons that are really, really big for you. When I was solely focused on photography and a huge part of that was family photography, a ton of my income came in like November and December. So you might want to think through that, right? But it gives you some sense of how to actually hit your goals. And then there's a few questions following that when you do this, you can do. Now, the more robust spreadsheet that we have, the profitability calculator, has one more really huge factor in it. So this is one of the reasons I would encourage you to find that if you want to invest in that training. And it has a section on how many hours do I actually have in my week and in my month based on free time I want, based on like lifestyle I have right now. And am I capable of serving this many people or making this many sales in that amount of time? That is something that many of us don't think of. That's often something that leads to burnout, right? Because we overextend ourselves. But it also reveals too, hey, yeah, I do want to meet these financial goals. I don't have enough time to do it. Do I need to hire? Do I need to bring on team members? Where can that happen? And so that's where that tool goes a little further than this tool. But this is certainly a great start if this is something that you've never really dove in deep before. Dove in is probably not a word there. Okay, so we're going to sort of summarize a little bit. Okay. And again, you might want to fill these out now. You might want to go back to them, but I am going to give you time for this page here. So currently your overall plan and your path. What first steps do I need to bring my plans and dreams to life, right? Not all the steps. What is the first step? It might be a person that you need, right? It might be the new thinking that you need. It might be that one action step that you've been putting off. It might be something different than what you thought it was. And so take a little time to get real about what is that first step to those plans and dreams. Give you a minute there. Okay, once you have your first steps identified, you can go ahead and take time to kind of write out a little bullet points or list of what you think some of the next steps are. So go ahead and work on that second question there. Okay, and that one might take you longer, so go ahead and spend more time on that question if you need to. But if you want to move on to that third section here, which is sketch out a quick glance quarterly plan. So one thing is that when we start to think about our exciting and adventurous plans, sometimes we feel overwhelmed. But the truth is you don't have to do it all right away, right? You're gonna separate it. So maybe just bullet point how the stage of this might look in quarter one and quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. And one of the things we do have at the end of this workbook is just kind of like a quarterly calendar you can print out again and again if you just need to kind of like hand write as you're making plans and ideas. But go ahead and just kind of make bullet points here for where you think some of those steps might fit in. So I'll give you a minute on that. Okay, I'm still going to give you a little longer here. I want to make sure you don't feel like you have things in your head that didn't get out. Go ahead and finish strong in this section if you need to. Okay, now this page doesn't give us a chance to write baby steps down, right? To break these into pieces, but we have a second section that you can do on your own. And I'm going to walk you through that here in a minute that allows you to take these things into baby steps because we know it's the tiny things that add up to the big action. Okay. So if you need more time on this, go back to it. Mark that you want to go back to it. We're going to just move forward and I'm going to walk you through some tools that some of you may want to use. First, we're going to just celebrate that we did that. Okay. I would love to hear from you, whether you just send me an email later or in the comments, just like, how did this feel? Did maybe some things surprise you that were revealed? Maybe it just confirmed that you're on the right path you need to be on. And maybe it doesn't feel very exciting and you just need to persevere. Sometimes that's what it reveals, is that we're just on the right track, right? So we have dug deep to help you step back and reflect on building a life plus business you love. But you are not done yet because you need to take action. And this is what I believe it takes to bring your dreams to a reality. And really by dreams, I mean like the next things. We all have little dreams we live into. We find joy along the journey. Like every day is a gift, every day is a dream. But it's also okay to keep leaning into those big ideas on your heart. So it takes action plus attitude plus accountability. So we take our goals, our intentions, and our projects. We're going to create baby step actions and break them down. Okay. And I'm going to give you an optional place to do that if you would like. And of course, you can just do it in your own place if you need to as well. It takes the right attitude. It really takes fueling your mind with what's possible, with truth, with encouraging yourself, reminding yourself of those gifts and talents you have, reminding yourself that you are capable, right? And so we have affirmations for you. You can make your own, put them on sticky notes, put them on note cards, right? Maybe for you, it's Bible verses that you need in front of you. Whatever it is that you need to read daily to transform your mind to one of calm and confidence, it's going to be a big part of setting you up to have the motivation you need to reach your goals. And this includes remembering that purposeful, impactful whys we talked about at the beginning. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why does it matter to me, right? Having that stuff in front of us, not just once a year, right? Like you've brought it to the surface now, but we got to put it in front of ourselves all the time to be able to keep taking hard action. And I'm just going to like add here that this is the truth. Being an entrepreneur is very different than a lot of other people's lives. They go to the office, somebody gives them a project, maybe they come up with the steps, maybe they're told exactly the steps to do, right? It doesn't involve much thinking, it doesn't involve much maybe courage, it doesn't involve much decision making, which isn't to say it doesn't involve a lot of other things and that it's not important. It is important. But as an entrepreneur, this is where you feel called to be. There is way more decision making. There is way more thinking that has to happen for you. And because of that, fueling your mind with that encouragement is more important. And so just knowing that is really valuable. And then, thirdly, just having that accountability, thinking about the people or the resources you need to invest in or the friends you need to lean on this year to keep you accountable on what you have set out to do. So that's the continued pathway. And here's a few more tools that might help you. So first of all, this is just like a commitment. Mentally, we're all in, right, friends? So remembering, I am responsible for my own baby steps, my own actions, and my own attitude. I will surrender the things I cannot control, and I will persevere with grace through any and all circumstances that may arise. I choose to grow, and I am capable of taking action. And little by little, by little, friend, the big things add up, right? And we tend to only see the little things, but when you step back, you can see all the big things. And hopefully, you got some of those from your reflection, right? So I just want to encourage you to let this be a stepping stone, but to take the action. And that as you reach your goals, do not forget about celebrating even the little tiny ones, right? And then including those sparks of joy and purpose in your life because that resets you and refreshes you to keep going towards your big goals. Okay. Now, here are some other resources that you might want to use. And then I'll go through these quick and we will draw a prize winner after this for you guys being here. Congrats on showing up for yourself. And then I'm just going to like introduce you to a few things that are coming up too. So, this one is we have a business at a glance, goals and action steps, and it's 2 pages, and we have a personal one too. Okay. So, how this works is you're going to now summarize. These are the areas I want to grow in. They could be very specific intentions. Like some of us want measurable goals. Some of us want goals around money or clients or numbers. Some of us just want goals around I did the thing. I took action around showing up here, or I finished this, or I fulfilled this, right? There's no wrong way to set that. You need to word it in a way that motivates you. Okay. There is a lot of things that I know that I need to do that do not motivate me. but I have to reframe the motivation to hit that other thing, right? So you're going to lay out your specific goals there, and then you're going to remind yourself the attitude you need specifically for those goals. That's that second section. And then thirdly, you're going to break it down into the action steps, the baby action steps. Okay. And so for some of you, that might be 3 steps. For some of you, it might be 20, right? And you can create a checklist there or whatever you need. You're going to have the accountability you need to put in place to take those action steps. And then when you achieve the whole goal or maybe baby steps to the goal, how are you going to celebrate? Set it aside now. Like personally, I reward myself by just like buying little fun creative things off Etsy, or I like will shop at a give back boutique because I feel like it's a win-win thing, right? Or I'll take a half day off and I'll go take a walk in some place that's one of my happy places, like a boutique or anthropology or like a botanical garden. So make sure that you're actually celebrating so you don't just feel like you're grinding all the time, because it's so often we're going to never feel like we got to where we want to get. Everything is just like the next step, right? We have to celebrate and find joy along the journey. And then we have a similar one for your personal goals. So you're going to go through the same process. What do you want to hit? The attitude, the baby step actions, the accountability, and all that. Okay. So you can print those off if you want, and then keep those with your calendar or your notebook, right? Take everything we've done, make these your summary sheets that you look at regularly. Or just type it up in a Google Doc with the same kind of concepts and keep that in front of you, right? Here's another optional exercise. If you love the idea of having a word of the year and you want to spend some time reflecting on it, then here is just a space for you to do it. So it takes you through kind of like 5 action steps to help filter out what might be your word of the year. And I'm going to give you a hint that if you go back to your values sheet, you're probably going to have some words that maybe rose to the surface more than others. And that might be something you want to focus on this year. So here we have a sheet that's a prayer for your business. So if you're a woman of faith like I am, and it's really important for you to be in prayer for your business, write down a new prayer that sort of summarizes your goals, your heart for this year, where you want to like really dive in, where you want to surrender, right? And then maybe a Bible verse that's important for you to reflect on this year too. Again, something you could tuck in with your regular notebook and calendar. And then we have a two-part affirmations page for you. So you can print these off. These are just general affirmations that really apply in general to entrepreneurs, particularly what I call big hearted entrepreneurs who maybe just need that extra courage, who want to serve really well with excellence, maybe are perfectionists because you love to help people so much, right? And so these are all excellent affirmations for you to go through, but I would also recommend that you um, go through and maybe circle ones that are most important to you or highlight ones, because that way when you just have like a quick minute before you start your to-do list or you check emails and you're going through what I call a morning routine where you're resetting your brain, right? And you want to read your affirmations and your goals, you can just read the 3 to 5 that really hit you and you need to hear over and over and over again. Okay. Those are also the ones you might want to put on a sticky note and put in your mirror or like write in other places. And then, so that's 2 pages of that. And then here is that little quarterly planning calendar. If you just need a digital, or if you need a visual place to kind of just like make messy notes, sketch things out, this can be a good tool for that. Of course, everybody has their own way of planning, lots and lots of ways to do that. Okay, so this is kind of the wrap up pages here, but then I'm going to have couple of things for you. So just remember all those world changing things that your heart longs to do, you should go do them. Okay. And that I am cheering for you. And I really hope these tools have been helpful to you. Remember that every day can be a fresh start, right? This is a good time of year to think through this stuff. But really, like if things aren't going well, hey, every morning is a new start, right? Um, and then this is just in the workbook ways to connect with me. So now I'm going to switch over back to my other slides quick. You guys would like to share in the comments if anything felt really valuable or particularly impactful to you, or if there was a specific word or anything that came to mind. Oh, I got to find my other sheet. Hang on here. This is the one I want. So stop share and share this one. Here we go. Okay, so this is just our wrap up section here. So first of all, we're going to do our giveaway. So our giveaway is going to be a $15 card to coffee anywhere you want and a $50 gift card to the shop if there's anything you want in the shop. So I'm going to need your email, and it looks like the winner, I think that Sheena picked a winner for us, and I'm going to find it in my chat quick. It looks like our winner is Marissa. Marissa, congratulations. You're our winner. So we're going to send you coffee. Also, I've been thinking about you a lot because I know you're in California. You can update me on that later. Um, so Marissa, I have your email address, so you are all good. So if I forget in the next few days to send that out to you, you remind us that you are the winner there, but we will get you a card to wherever your favorite place to get coffee is. So you can let us know if that's like Starbucks or Dunkin' or whatever that is for you. Okay. And I just want to congratulate you all. This is a way we celebrate. You showed up for yourself today. You took the time with the accountability of people. Not that you can't do this on your own, but there is something special about knowing you have very specific time carved out for it and you made it happen. And that is a big deal. So, way to go. Um, Next, I just wanted to let you know about a couple tools that might interest you. One of them, and again, I'm not pitching anything. I was just thinking, like, if a person wanted to dive in deeper here, what would be really helpful? And if you were at that point where you had so many ideas that you just did not know what to focus on, and you really need to identify those further, one of the things in the shop is just called this Ideas to Goals Toolkit. And this is a process that takes you through a deeper dive on how to make a decision on what to work on next. So if you're like, I could go this direction, or I could have this project, this project. I mean, that's me. I'm always like all the ideas. And so I had to create a system. And so this is something that is downloadable. It's a workbook. It allows you to give an idea dump and kind of score things and really helps elevate that decision making process clear. So that's one tool in there. If you do not have our brand and marketing map, and if you are in the Bay, by the way, guys, you have access to all this stuff. Brand and marketing map. This is just kind of like a really deep dive into what to do in the right order at the right time for your brand and marketing journey. It also allows you to kind of like check off, oh yeah, I'm totally past that phase and I need to be in this phase, or oh, I jumped to this phase, but I didn't really finish this phase. So it really breaks down that building out of your brand story and then showing up online through your marketing path in that kind of way. So it's called the brand and marketing map. I basically call it like the outline of everything I teach for women through our modules and program inside the Small Business Bay. Can be a great starting point if you're doing it on your own. And then the last thing is that we have something else free coming up in a couple of weeks. And this is, if you're in the Small Business Bay already, this is going to mostly be like review, but it could be a good kind of like, it could be like a feel good motivational thing for you. But it's called the Get Found and Grow 3-Day Challenge. And so we took our very popular Get Found workshop that I have done a couple times now, and I decided to add to it and pad it and just make it a much more community feel over 3 different days. This is going to happen not next week, but the following week on that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's going to happen at 1 p.m. Central Time, those 3 days. I do not have the landing page up yet, so you cannot register yet. But when I do, I just want you to know that it's coming. Totally free. We will have the chance to upgrade to a VIP if you want some one-on-one or some group time to ask questions afterwards. That's something we've done before. That's worked really well, especially if you're new here and you just have questions about either the topics we're working through or something totally separate in your business and you want to get access to that group time. So stay tuned in your email box for information on how to register for the Get Found and Grow Challenge. And ladies, that is all I have for you. So I am again celebrating that you showed up for yourself, celebrating. I mean, honestly, ladies, I'm celebrating everything you bring to the world. Like, this is 100% for you. You have unique gifts and talents that I do not. And if I can be part of elevating those things and helping you make an impact in the world through your business, through your gifts, through the way you feel called in some way, shape, or form, that is what motivates me. That's what compels me. So, um, thank you for being part of this today. And I just want you to, I hope you have a weekend where you just feel the sense of calm and confidence that you got out of all the ways you put things into the world today. So, thank you so much for being here, celebrating you. And I will say goodbye for now. And if you need the replay, then we will get that out to you. So if you want to go back to some things, you can. And for those of you that were watching this on replay, then we'll get that to you. And we're glad you're here. Thanks, everybody. Bye.